Welcome to Final Exam Review Worksheet A. Number 1, an airplane lands on a runway. Its velocity after t seconds from landing is given by v of t, so that's right here, and satisfies the equation v of t equals v naught, which means the initial velocity, plus the acceleration times time. Now, what's important here is that you recognize this equation. Really, this is very much the same as saying y equals mx plus b, where I could say v of t is equal to at plus v0, where a is the slope and b is the initial velocity. I know 2 points. I have my x is my t, and my y is my v of t. If I want an ordered pair, it would look like that. We have these 2 points, and I want to make an equation. It says use the data to determine the initial velocity. How do I make an equation? I have 2 points. I have a point 5, 100, and I have a second point 10, 80. And my slope, which is the same as my acceleration, because we just talked about y, is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And I'll just call this point 1 and this point 2. It doesn't matter. You can label them the opposite way. So I have y2 is 80 minus 100 over 10 minus 5, which equals minus 20 over positive 5. And so I have a negative 4. Now I know my slope, which is a now. So I can say v of t is equal to negative 4t plus v0. The only way I know now to find v0 is I need to plug in one of the points. It doesn't matter which one. I'll use this one. Remember, v is the same as my y, so I have 100 is equal to negative 4 times t, which is 5, plus v0. This is negative 20. I move it to the other side, and I get v sub 0 is equal to 120. And it is in meters per second. I found my initial velocity. Now that I found my initial velocity, I know the equation of my velocity. It would be, so I have v of t is equal to, and if I put it in the form it's in, it would be 120 minus 4t. I found my equation for my velocity. Determine the velocity of the plane after 20 seconds. All right, well, that's v of 20, which equals 120 minus 4 times 20, which is 120 minus 80, which is equal to 40 meters per second. Consider the line passing through the points 4, 0 and 0, 10. Write an equation for the line. Now, this one, we still have to find the slope. First thing I need to find is my slope, which is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And y2 now is the first one is 0 minus y1, which is 10, divided by x2, which is 4, minus x1, which is 0. I get negative 10 over 4, which equals negative 5/2. I found my slope. Now, I can put it in slope-intercept form. It just says write an equation. It doesn't tell me how I have to do it. The easiest way for me to do it is in point slope. Point slope form is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. A really easy way to remember it is, I know my slope is this equation, right? If I multiply both sides by the denominator here, I would have x2 minus x1 times m equals y2 minus y1. I actually only need one if I'm putting something in point slope. I need two to find the slope, but to put it into point slope, I have 1 point. So I'm going to erase all the twos. And now notice I have point slope. And then I just pick a point. 1, okay, so I have y minus 10 equals, and I know my slope is minus 5/2 times x minus 0, or x. And, easy enough, I can change it into slope intercept for this one, because I just add 10 to both sides and I'd have, so this is point slope, and y equals minus 5/2 x plus 10 is slope intercept. But it doesn't matter which one you use, because it doesn't say, it just says write an equation. Both of them are equations. Whichever you like is fine. So now we want to graph the line. We know it's a line. And let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I don't know how far I'm going to go. Let's see. Well, I do know I have to go up 10 because I know my y-intercept is 10, right? I have a point there, and then my slope is negative 5/2. And also another way to write slope is rise over run. I'm either going to go, so I can also say that minus 5/2 is the same as 5/-2, which is the same as minus 5/2. They're all the same. So if I want to plot that point, I go down 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and over 2. And I'm positive this is not going to make a very nice line, because nothing is really to scale. And then let's see where it hits the x-axis. To find out where it hits the x-axis, I set y equal to 0. I have minus 5/2 x plus 10 equals 0. 5/2 x equals 10. Multiply both sides by 2 and divide both sides by 5. There's my line. It's not very straight, but it is my line.